been some confusion since our last tea party. Let's clear it up for him, shall we?
Yeah.
Where's the consistency? Say what you mean and mean what you say. Listen up, everyone in Washington, D.C. and Carson City. Stop the spending. Well, everybody, congratulations. It's Tax Freedom Day. You can start keeping our money now. We've done our patriotic duty. Don't you feel patriotic? Wouldn't it be great if we could keep paying and maybe we could feel patriotic year-round? No? Not so much? No. Well, it seems there's been some confusion since our last tea party. Our politicians and the mainstream media didn't seem to get the message. In fact, they got the message all wrong. Let's clear it up for them, shall we?
Yeah.
I have to start with MSNBC and Janine Garofalo. I heard Ms. Garofalo say that the main reason that we're here is that we're angry that a black man is in office as president. I've got news for Ms. Garofalo. That may be the only thing we're happy about. I've also heard people in the media saying, where were we when George Bush was spending money? Well, I'll tell you where we were. We're doing our jobs. We're taking care of our families. And we were looking around at each other asking, what the hell is going on? You see, we aren't political activists. We're just average. Look, we saw President Bush begin this trend of spending and socialism. And now we see President Obama doubling down on the same poison, and we're sick of it. We don't want financial slavery, corruption, or double talk from either party. What we would like is a little common sense. For example, don't tell us you have to abandon the free market in order to save it. Don't spend trillions of borrowed and printed dollars and then tell us we can't sustain this trend of borrowing and spending. Maybe you should have thought of that before you spent the trillions. We might be average people, but you don't have to be a lawyer or a banker or a community organizer to understand that you can't get out of debt by spending money you don't have. In fact, let me tell you how average people use common sense to deal with problems. When we fall on hard times, we make hard decisions. We tighten our budget. We work harder and we make sacrifices. What we don't do is ask our boss to give us more money. In case that analogy didn't make sense to all of you politicians, that means you work for us. We are your employer. Common sense average people don't open more lines of credit and dig a deeper hole. And I know, I can hear the response already. We have to spend money to get the economy going again. After things pick up, we can just pay off all this debt. Really? What is your plan if things don't pick up? You don't have one. You bet all of America's prosperity, sovereignty, and the future of our children on one roll of the dice. And I'm pretty sure the housing collapse just taught us that you shouldn't gamble on the idea that the money's just going to come pouring in. Where are we a few years from now if we don't have an historic economic recovery? President Obama, we're aware that you inherited this problem. We know President Bush started the bailouts. But maybe you could just stop saying, he started it, and just stop giving us more of the same. You expect us to trust you with this enormous gamble. Well, we don't trust you. We don't trust you when you appoint a tax cheat to run the IRS. We don't trust you when Charlie Rangel writes the tax code, but he doesn't pay his taxes because he claims he doesn't understand the tax code. You expect us to take you seriously when you spend $3 or $4 trillion, and then you tell us we're going to save money by cutting 100 million or 17 billion. That's an insult. And it's an insult when you hire a speed reader to read your bloated cap-and-trade bill in mockery of our outrage. Who the hell do you people think you are? You jerks in Washington are the only ones who think this is funny. We don't trust our elected officials anymore because no one says what they mean. And nowhere is that more true than right here in Carson City. Governor Gibbons signed a pledge promising to veto all tax increases. Yet he failed to veto the room tax hike. Now his explanation is that the voters approved the tax hike by voting yes on an advisory question last November. I disagree with that, but that's his stated position. Unless you ask him about the gas tax hike. That was also voter approved, but he's going to veto that one. Where's the consistency? Say what you mean and mean what you say. Senator Raggio's no better. When Senator Raggio was running against Sharon Angle, he guaranteed us he would not raise taxes. I don't know, does the $781 million tax increase he just voted for count or not? As a matter of fact, Senator Raggio, you shouldn't have been allowed to vote on this tax hike at all, considering that a member of your law firm lobbied on it. That's a real inconvenient truth. But fortunately, after Senator Warren Hardy announced he would have to abstain from the vote too, Senator Majority Leader Horsford introduced a resolution to give everyone exemption to the ethics rule. Isn't that fantastic? You people are just as bad as the clowns in Washington, and this building ought to be fumigated. We've had enough of our non-representing representatives. California just spoke for all of us when they voted down tax increases in their state. Governor Schwarzenegger is talking about cutting back essential services, but Californians realize you need to cut expenses like the $10 million a year California pays its teachers who are on suspension that can't be fired because they're union employees. Here in Nevada, our legislators have had options regarding our budget. Governor Gibbons' proposal was balanced, albeit with stimulus dollars and a room tax hike, but it was balanced. Even better, the Nevada Research Policy Institute released an alternate budget that's about $1 billion less than Governor Gibbons. And it doesn't require any federal stimulus money. Yet our legislators saw fit to increase taxes by almost $800 million in the middle of a recession. It takes a lot of hard work to give yourself more money. Listen up, everyone in Washington, D.C. and Carson City. We're sick of the spending, and you don't get a dime more. We will not stand and watch you ruin this country that our men and women have fought and died for. You break the law and no one holds you accountable. You change the rules to fit your needs, and you have no ethics. You don't tell the truth or stand up for anything other than what will help you stay in power. We don't want hundreds of millions of our tax dollars going to fund John Murtha's empty airport. Stop pointing your finger across the aisle. You're both guilty. We know our nation's bankrupt and you're not fooling us. Let me summarize for the mainstream media and for our non-representing representatives what the Tea Parties are about. And I'll speak very slowly to be sure you understand me. Number one, stop the spending. Number two, you have been provided with a very clear job description. It is called the Constitution. Follow it.
Yeah!
Number three, you work for us. We don't work for you.
Yeah!
We the people have drawn a line in the sand, and the message is very simple. Don't tread on me.